Pedro's Journal, August 3rd. The ship's roster of the Santa Maria has me down as Pedro de Salcedo, ship's boy, and the captain of the ship, who calls himself Captain General of the Ocean Sea, has hired me not for my great love of the sea, nor for my seamanship, but because I have been taught to read and write, and he thinks it will be useful to have me along. Last night, when I boarded the Santa Maria with 40 others and made ready to begin the uncertain journey to India, I saw my mother standing alone on the dock, wrapped in her black shawl. She lifted her hand to wave, and I turned away quickly. I've never been away from our home. I've never been on a ship as great as this one. I dedicate this journal, this parcel of letters and drawings, to my dear mother who has lost so much, who I pray will not lose me as well. Me, her young boy, whom she calls Pedro de mi corazón, Pedro of my heart. We are a fleet of 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta with us, and this morning in the darkness, with no one watching or waving goodbye, we left the harbor of Palos and headed out for the sandbar of the Saltes River. There we waited for tide and wind and then made way for the Canary Islands. We are to be the first ships ever to run our course west to the Indies, Marco Polo's land, where palaces are built of gold, where mandarins wear silk brocade, and pearls are the size of ripened grapes. A couple of the men are seasick and are already mumbling that we will never see this India our Captain General is so certain he will find. Me, I have no knowledge of maps or charts or distant journeys. I'm only a ship's boy. There are 3 of us, and I'm beginning to suspect that we will do all the work no one wants to do. But already the captain favors me and has called upon me to write and to copy certain of his writings. I believe he is testing me and will find I am capable and write a good hand. The captain told me he was pleased to see my stomach is as strong as my handwriting and has encouraged me to sketch some of the things I see around me. Perhaps I'm a natural seaman, although I admit that looking over the side of this creaking ship in the swelling water can fill me with terror. August 7th. God give us good days, good voyage, good passage to the ship, Sir Captain and Master in good company. So let there be a good voyage. Many good days, may God grant your graces, gentlemen of the afterguard and gentlemen forward. My mother would be pleased to know that each morning when the crew gathers on the deck with the sails and the lines rattling and clanking and the winds gusting above us, it is her own dear son who leads the morning prayers. She would also be amused to see the way the captain says his rosary with such a fury, as if his prayers are orders to be carried out immediately. I'm learning the names in terms of all things to do with sailing and ships. In just a short time, given the captain's lack of patience and fiery temper, I've learned to pretend that I know what everything means. I nod my head yes to his orders, and then I search out someone who can explain what I must do. Yesterday, after only 4 days out, the captain was disturbed because the rudder broke on the Pinta. The rudder is the part that goes into the water to steer the ship, so of course we all had to wait. I went with him to the Pinta in our ship's small dinghy to see what was wrong. The ocean tossed and threw us about, and I held onto the sides for dear life while Columbus and Martin Alonso Pinzon, the captain of the Pinta, shouted instructions back and forth to each other. We didn't get too close to the Pinta for fear of being crushed against her sides, but we were close enough to see what was wrong and close enough to see that Martin Alonso was able to rig the broken rudder with rope. Columbus was pleased for the moment that his captain had come up with such an ingenious solution to the problem, and we returned to the Santa Maria. Last night, Columbus wrote in his log that he believes it has been done on purpose and that there are men on board the Pinta who do not wish to make this journey. Now, those ropes on the rudder have all been broken in a hard wind. More repairs must be made or a replacement ship must be found. There's a brooding silence about the crew, and I'm surprised to learn through mumblings and complaints that a few of the men want to make this voyage. No one has much faith, and they whisper among themselves of sea monsters and how the sea will come to an abrupt end, and we will go toppling off the edge of the world like a log careening over a waterfall. My captain seems like a smart man. I cannot believe he would do anything or do something so foolish. So I turn away from the men when they speak. But late at night, when I lie sleeping beneath my covers, sometimes I bolt awake, sure we are falling through space and that we've left the world behind. August 27th. The long voyage lies ahead of us. I learned that when we depart from these Canary Islands, we are in uncharted seas. Yet, I wonder if we will ever leave. First, we wait for a ship to replace the Pinta, which not only has a broken rudder, but also is leaking, and now it seems that there is no replacement and she will have to be repaired. All day long, the men row from boat to boat, the boatswain, carpenters, caulkers, experts all, who swear they have solutions to the problem. There is much hammering and shouting as we toss about, straining our anchor lines and the nerves of the waiting sailors. Then, when it seems we are ready to depart on the long trek, Columbus gives the order to change the rigging of the Nina to the lateen rigging to square rigging, believing she will handle better in the wind. The sailors all moan. It may be a few more days. In the heat of noon yesterday, some of the men leaped overboard and swam and washed. I want to do this, but not yet. I'm too afraid and worry about being swept away from the Santa Marina, away from the hearing of my fellows. They call to me, "Come on, Pedro, leap it, leap it," but I'm too afraid. September 3rd. During my watch, it is my job to turn the sand glass exactly as it empties and call out the time. I let the crew know what time it is and remind them all to pray that we are protected on this journey. Then I call them to dinner. Each morning, I wash the slate of the navigator's notes after they've been transcribed into the captain's formal log, and then I carry this log back to his cabin, where he writes in it alone. He writes each morning about the night before and every night about the day just past. He draws navigational charts that I do not understand even after studying them. He does not know that I try to learn this. When I hear his step on the wooden stairs from the deck to his cabin, I shut the log and look busy. On deck, I peer into the west, where, it is said, others from the Canary Islands have sworn to see land on clear days. I see nothing. My new friend, Diego Garcia, tells me if we believe these people that there is land there, we must also believe their sightings of sea monsters and mermaids. He says this and laughs, but when I look west and then down into the dark waters that carry us, I think I can believe anything. Today we took on fresh supplies. We have used up so much that was to have taken us across the ocean because of the delay with the Pinta's rudder. We have some fruit that we must eat quickly, or will go bad: wine, molasses, dried meat, and salted fish biscuits. The captain has written in his log that we have taken on enough supplies to last us 28 days. What will we eat after 28 days if we've not found an Indian port? We cannot then turn around and come home. We will not make it. Oh, dear mother, I hope you are praying for the speedy return of your only living son.